do. Do. Hello everybody and welcome to another video. My name is Rodgon. I'm about to put this stream on over on YouTube so I can actually see everybody's chats. And we have this going on TikTok as well. So it should be fun. Alright, hold on. There you go. Alright, so hello everybody. My name is Rodrigo Gonzalez, but most of you guys know me as Rodgon. I'm an artist, I'm an illustrator, I'm a designer, and today we will be drawing together. So, we're coming on a little late today, so I don't expect that many people to be here as is at the beginning of the stream, but that's perfectly fine too. That just means that it'll be a little bit cozier with the people here. Now, what are we going over today? Well, if you were with us yesterday, you would have known that we started a brand new sketchbook. We started an Illo sketchbook, and this is going to be themed for story time. So everything that we draw in this book is going to be geared towards storytelling. So I have decided that I am going to start with the character of Rod. Hi, Rod. So this character is gonna be obviously me. And I'm going to start journaling a little bit more about what my life is. This is the reason that I got into art, and I believe that I'm finally at the point in my career that I can actually do it in an effective way. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's move on to the second page. And let's tell another story. Let's tell something else. Let's see. What happened yesterday that was interesting enough in my life? Well, I did discover that I'm going to go to Scotland. So let's start off with our logo because we are going to be making everything into a comic book. So we are going to start off by creating our Zook's comic book logo. Right. So I'm going to map it out. Sub Hobbit, hello Rodgon. Looks really great. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. We do have people over here on TikTok and Instagram today. So if you guys are looking to ask any questions, feel free to do so. Yesterday we had a lovely stream with my subscribers. I went over some of their artwork and it was just really, really fun to, you know, like draw over their stuff and be like able to tell them how to get better. That stream is going to be on YouTube at some point. I think it's still there. I haven't changed it to unlisted because it's supposed to be mostly for just like my subscribers. But, you know, I want to leave at least one of the subscriber streams open so you guys can see what you can get if you do subscribe to me. I went over maybe like every single person that submitted something for review, and then we just drew over one of their pieces, and it was really fun. And then the people showed me later on what they did with you know, the little bit of knowledge that I provided, and I can see like automatic improvement, and I was like, yay, that's amazing. Alright, so Zooks. My logo will be relatively close to this. It's taken a while and it's been like through a quadrillion iterations, but I think I finally have landed into a decent look for what I want. Alright, so yesterday we had a lot of review. What else did I do? I stayed home all day. I rode my bike a little bit. I went to run errands. Did I see anything interesting? Oh my god. I did see an incredibly weird homeless dude yesterday while I was riding my bike. So I'm maybe I'll draw him. I'll draw myself. And I'll draw a bike, because I was riding my bike. So my bike will be roughly around here. Have like those cool handlebars. Right. My arms. I like to do very gestural sketches when it comes down to getting positioning and getting everything down for the initial sketches of anything that I'm going to be doing. Since I sketch with pen for the most part, I have to be a little bit more cautious when it comes down to what lines I lay down. Now, a lot of the times, when you see me laying down lines, it won't really make sense to you because it really like makes a lot more sense in my brain than it does like in the actual sketch at first. Let's see, if this is pedals here, the other pedal's gonna be down, so the other pedal would be there. My leg would be extended a little bit. My arm would be going into perspective, my shoulder's right here, and maybe I'm looking this way. There you go. That's a little better. All right, so I was going, and I was just biking, and I was going to the store, so I had my backpack on. I was running some errands. I had to go to the bank, get money for the rent, and all that stuff. So I find myself doing this. And the homeless dude had like the most epic beard. So I was on the street. There's the sidewalk. If my bike is going this direction, that means my perspective point probably is around that side. So I'm going to create most of my lines going from that direction. Okay, so if there's a sidewalk, maybe the sidewalk would be right there. This dude. Okay, so have you ever seen the Pirates of the Caribbean? If you've ever actually been to Disneyland, there is a ride called Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, this ride has one particular little character in it that is going to be relevant to this. The dude is... there's like a little character that's laying with the pigs, right? And he's super happy and joyful, and he's just like, yay, like laying around with the pigs. This dude was not doing that with pigs, but he was literally like doing that with trash bags. Like he had so many trash bags around him, and he was just like frolicking in that. And I was like, whoa, dude, like, okay. But he looks so genuinely happy. So not much that you can say to him. Oh, you can't see anything. Too much light. Hold on, let me see if I can fix that for you guys. I just noticed that right now. Yeah, the camera for the YouTube, it tends to get a lot of sunlight. Alright, that's a little better, I think. Miss N. Brits, I am not taking any lives. I'm sorry. Okay. So that's still a little bit too much light for the YouTubes. So it seems to me that every single time that I have the light a little bit too upright, it tends to mess it up. So I'm gonna try to go with an angle a little bit and therefore create a little bit better lighting. There you go. All right, so that should be a little bit better. If it gets really light, just let me know as well, okay? So this dude was just genuinely like in ecstatic like joy and he was an elderly man. So he got like this awesome scraggly beard. So I don't live in the best neighborhood. So there is a lot of homeless people, and there's a lot of people that, are down on their luck. So it's very interesting sometimes to see their behaviors. Um, it's just been very interesting and fascinating to experience the randomness that comes sometimes with a lot of homeless people that are around your house. So, but this guy was just awesome. He was just so genuinely happy, and like, it honestly made me look twice. It kind of reminded me of like a little kid in one of those like McDonald's old school playground. He was just like rambling about, like, just enjoying life like no one's business. Like, all right, Subhobbit. Hey, that's okay now. Awesome. So, like I was saying before, most of this sketchbook is going to be mostly storytelling. So I'm going to try my hardest to try to tell a story about something that happened in my life every single time that I draw in this sketchbook. And hopefully, by the end of the time that I'm done with it, I'm able to create a little bit better stories, right? So it's not aimed to like, oh my god, I have to do this or I have to do this. It's not a chore to me, right? Whenever I give myself assignments like this, or I give myself like a theme that I need to like accomplish, it's never a chore. Like, I'm never thinking about this stuff as like, whenever I take on a new thing that I'm bad at, uh, I'm never thinking about it as a, oh my god, I have to do this. Nah. Every time I find something that's wrong with my art or something that can be fixed, it's a really happy day for me, because now I have a goal. Now I have something else to, like, look into. As you get better with your art, you will realize that there's a lot less resources than you might think when it comes down to generating higher level artwork. Because most of the time, it's not that people don't want to teach what they know. It's just that it's really hard to teach it sometimes, right? So, even if a person is a very good artist, it's sometimes very hard for them to communicate, how to do what they do, because, teaching is an art in itself. It's really hard. So, and take it from experience. Like, I have to do that almost every single day. It's just complicated sometimes. Oh my god, the other thing that, like, I was having a discussion. I was having a discussion with some people the other day. And, we were talking a little bit, and it's the people from my pool league. So we were discussing about, like, how it is incredibly difficult to be incredibly good at absolutely anything, right? The people that are good, like, they're really, really, really good at any particular subject, tend to be like on a level that we don't even normally really realize it. I'm just gonna put pool for an example. There is like a level of play where you play with like the people in your league, and then it's like, yeah, the person might be good, but you're still just good at a local level. When you get to the point where you are good, like at a national level, you start realizing that your skill set and your skill level is very low compared to what is really out there. Uh, the same thing happens with art. It's we don't really realize the level of talent that is out there until we get out there and we try to compete against them, and that's like incredibly, like, like, sometimes it's, like, off-putting. We're like, oh no, maybe we shouldn't go into it because we don't have the experience that other people do. But, you know, luckily for us, art is very subjective. Art is only as good as we allow it and we think it is. So, when it comes down to like art in general, I always like to tell people to always be very confident in the fact, just the simple fact that you can create art is an amazing task, right? So you're already creating things like that other people wish that they could do. Now, the second step to that is being proud of it yourself so that you can actually learn to benefit from your own fruits of your own imagination and your skills. If you don't think you're ready, you're never going to be ready. If you always think that you are like, you know, like forever studying until a magical thing commands you to be like ready for the actual like, you know, task of being a professional at this, then you're going to be waiting for a while because, you know, there's no calling to that. There's no like rule or guideline that tells you like, oh, well, now I'm ready to do this. No, it's just you just do it. You kind of just go at it. Some advice on dynamic poses and anatomy. Any book or Pinterest. I have a book. Let me see if I can find it real fast. Okay, so there's a couple books that I would recommend. One of them, if you want to get better at cartooning, this one right here, 100-Day Tips from Grizz and Norm, is an absolute beast of a book. This is an amazing, fantastic book with so many tips. And honestly, a lot of what I do every single day is loosely based on like this person's like way of teaching. I absolutely love it. It's very visual, it's very simple, and it explains it really well. If you like the way that I teach, Grizz and Norm is an absolute amazing person to go follow as well. Another book that I would recommend is Figure Drawing, Design and Invention by Michael Hampton. This one is my favorite anatomy book because it color codes things and it's very easy to follow. Now, the more that you are knowledgeable in art and anatomy, this is going to make more sense. But even as a beginner, it helped me starting to understand the basic concepts behind it. And the way that they explain it visually is enough. Even if you don't read it, you can just look through it and study it like that. And it's actually really, really good. So those are the two books that I would recommend. I got carried away and put away my groceries. Angela Harmon. Some advice. Hello, everybody. See you on TikTok. We don't have any comments yet. So let's continue. So this homeless dude had like a beer belly that was like sticking out of his, you know, like his shirt. He was kicking into the air like he was a little kid. Like it was really, 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 like if it wasn't kind of gross that it was like around toilet paper and like disgusting things, it would have been really adorable. Like honestly, it would have been like really like oh endearing to see somebody have so much fun. It was just kind of nasty that was like around like used toilet paper or in like random food and stuff like that. But hey, like I said, the guy looked really happy. So, you know, he must have had his reasonings. Alright, so we're gonna draw the beer belly. The leg would connect to the pelvis. That's right here behind whatever trash bag this is gonna be. The other leg would probably be around here. Let's bend it down a little bit. Alright, so we have our basic dude. Alright. So we have our dude playing his pile of trash. And that's kind of what he kind of looked like. I'm gonna add some little tiny rips in the bags with like some trash coming out. and then just enhance the fact that it was like smelly and stuff. Just gonna be talking to a little bug. Okay, his other hand, this is going to be bent in the back. There, that's some kind of stuff detailed to his pants. Alright, so just like that, we finish off the character in question, and then now we get to draw myself. So, a bike. We're going to go through different, like, you know, like parts of it. Not saying I'm the best at drawing bicycles, but I've been riding them enough that I understand what parts are involved. So I know that there's wheels, right? And then there's gears. And they're all spinning and stuff. So in this situation, there isn't much that needs to be done. There's a chain that goes into the crank. The crank has the pedal. I have my foot back here, so I'm going to draw my pedal right there. Now, this means that my foot is going to be up, pressing into the pedal. And I press into my pedals with the tips of my toes for the most part. When I'm pedaling. The foot is going forward, and I was wearing shorts that day, so I'm going to have my upper thigh pointing down this way, and then we're going to have my foot coming down. I have half calf shoes, so I'm just gonna draw myself that into my calf. The bike seat, I'm gonna see the back of the bike seat much more than anything else into the stem that takes it into the frame. And that's where my butt would be, so it's gonna be pressing against the bike seat. This leg would be a little bit more down since this one is up, and it would be behind the wheel, so you wouldn't really see it much. This is where my butt would be, the top of the shorts, into my thigh. In this case, I can add a little bit of details like back pockets, side pockets, seams, a little bit of shadow underneath. From here, the frame connects from here to the front. From here it goes down to the crank, which would also be spinning, so I'm not going to be too concerned with the detail there. I'm just going to draw like some lines. And then that goes into the frame from both sides, connecting to where the brakes and stuff like that would be. You also get spokes, but they're also spinning, so you wouldn't see that. Going into the front of the bike, I'm going to draw the body first, because that is overlapping the rest of the shape. So I'm going to draw everything that you see with the camera first. That's why I started with the farthest point in the bike in the back, and then I'm going to work my way forward. That way I'm going to keep my perspective and my anatomy looking relatively well. Okay, so we have our calf, we have our knee. Now we're going to move up our spine. If the top of our spine is going to be right here, and that means that our back is curved like that, right? If that's the top of the rib cage, then we can safely assume that this is the rest of the rib cage. If the shoulder's right here, means our shoulder is going to, our t-shirt curve is going to be pointing forward, rotating forward so that our arm can face forward. Right here, we have a little bit of the rib cage, and since the arm is pointing forward, we are going to show a little bit of this overlap of the rib cage pushing this arm to that other side, making it look like it's pointing forward. Perfect. Top of the head, top of the rib cage is the back of the spine, and then the other arm wouldn't be seen because it would probably be going towards the other handlebar that's over here. Cool. So now we have our t-shirt. Now, if it was like flowing in the wind or something like that, that's when you would like add some negative space. You know, or something similar to that to create that notion of it moving. Let's go on to, since we already drew the arm, let's move on to the hand. The hands sit on top of the handlebars. Handlebar curves back. Yeah, the little stem. I do have brakes and stuff like that on the lever, so I'm just going to gesturally put that in there. Again, this is not the main focus of the actual piece, so I'm not too concerned with getting every little detail of the bike. It just has to read relatively close to what a bike is, so that visually it tells the story that I want. But I don't have to worry like immensely about it being perfect. Like every single spoke is not gonna matter. Every single little tread on the wheel is not gonna really matter to tell the story that I'm teaching. Like this is more of a story about like the homeless dude. So most of the detail is gonna go towards here. All right, I do have tattoos on this arm. I have like arrows and stuff. Okay, and then even though we drew the head shape over here, I'm starting to realize, obviously, that my head shape is not going to be all the way out there. So even though it was drawn in pen, I'm going to shift it. And I was wearing a hat. And tilt my head. The bottom of my ear is going to connect to the front of my body, and that's what's going to give me my first connection for my neck. I don't have sideburns or anything like that, so that part of the head is not going to be touched. I'm going to draw my hat as it would fit on top of my head, giving it a little bit of depth by creating a little bit of a shadow. And then we move on to the forehead into the eye socket. This would be where the eyes are going to be. And then it goes out for the cheekbone, and it drapes down onto for the mouth. Now, I normally would draw all this like jaw part after I finish drawing everything, rest of the face, because, you know, depending on the facial expression, it really does change. But in this case, since my facial expression was like literally like, what? Wasn't like much of an expression. It's going to be more so with the eyebrows than I do it. Straight up out of my body. Gonna draw my eyes. I'm gonna darken the top line a little bit to make it look like eyelashes. Gonna give myself my glasses. And again, maybe the storytelling will not be as good as I wished to at first, especially at the beginning of the sketchbook, because it's just going to be rough because I'm barely starting to actually think about this whenever I'm drawing. But the whole idea is that since it's a weakness in my sketching, it's just going to get improved by continuously putting myself in situations where I'm drawing stories. So that's why, and also drawing like things like vehicles and stuff like that is a certain weakness of mine. So I need to start focusing on doing that. My stop signs. And just adding to the scene by adding different elements like other sides of the street. We were in a tunnel, so this tunnel would be right there. Maybe some cars over here, maybe some people walking, some other buildings. Very gestural stuff can really add to your scene without you needing to do much more. I did say I have a backpack, huh? So, it's not a backpack. We'll just have to be a little darker since we forgot to draw it in. The beauty of drawing with pen. Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's see. What else can I recall from that day? I hate drawing cars so much. I never find myself being in a situation where I draw them. So I'm coming to realize that I need to sit outside and I need to go and like look at cars and I need to draw them a lot more because that is a big weakness. And I can probably learn a little bit more about like doing like vehicles and like cool spaceships by studying cars. So it's not necessarily a thing that I look not forward to doing. It's just something that needs to be done because I noticed the weakness in there. For drawing any pose, sometimes I don't find proper reference, then drawing is going some weirdly, and I'm feeling depressed. Well, okay, so sometimes when we can't find a proper pose, we can take pictures of them. We are human beings. We have bodies, right? We have like parts of our body that we can reference. If you need to draw hands, what do? You study your hand. You just draw your own hand if you don't have any other hand to draw, right? It's just a matter of like perspective and like understanding that you have resources. You have a phone. You're probably watching this on a phone, right? If you're watching this on a phone, then it's you already got what you need. It's just a matter of going out there, putting on like some outfits or like some like clothing or some like, you know, like drapery or whatever you need to dress yourself up as to make yourself, you know, get your own reference, and then just do it. And it's like honestly that's like a fantastic way to go about you know, doing all that stuff. If you don't have the reference, don't feel depressed. Just go out and do your own reference. Where did I put this? Okay, so today I have my little 99-cent palette. There is nothing special about this palette. There is literally parts missing from me dropping this. So we're just gonna use it because I enjoy just randomly using my cheapy materials. It actually has a very nice color palette when it comes down to like actually like, you know, paying attention to what colors it has. It's actually really nice. The blues that it has are really colorful. The pinks are something that is very hard to find, or that's very good when it comes down to watercolors. So I enjoy it. Sometimes a lot more than my expensive ones. And it lasts just as much, so it's like Honestly, sometimes it's like baffling to me that people spend so much money on on art supplies. All right, let's see. So this is gonna be the baggies. Let's make my shorts. No, my shirt was blue. Because if the shirt's blue, then I can make the hat blue, creating contrast, making my face pop out more. Gonna add a little bit of that blue to fill in the spaces in the backpack to make it look like it's more full. Then the shoes, and then maybe a tiny bit of the shorts. Just making it look like that, just so it gives me a differentiation between the shorts and the leg, creating contrast. Okay, contrast is the absolute thing when it comes down to just doodling around. Contrast is going to be your friend. Contrast is going to be your best friend. It's going to make any single little tiny simple doodle look a lot better by creating a little bit of visual contrast. Doesn't have to be much, just has to be enough to make a certain element, like the face of the homeless dude right here. By creating a little bit of color in the sidewalk, I can bring out the hand, I can bring out the beard. Now it's gonna look more white. And I can bring out the little details of other aspects of things. Like the street, unless I color this side of the street this color, and then this wall this color, then it wouldn't probably read that way. And little background elements that are not in focus as well, just add a little bit of color to them. Just enough to create the contrast so that it seems like there's an element in there. To make this look like a tunnel, I need to make sure that the negative space that's on top of the vehicles and the stop sign looks a little bit lighter. Therefore giving this an air of it being under like a roof or a terrace, and then just adding a little bit of texture can help with that too. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of pink to certain aspects of their faces. The nose, for example. Places that have a lot of blush. The cheeks. A little bit of the knuckles, the elbow, maybe the belly. And for me, I'd probably just do the nose. Maybe a little bit of the elbow. The ears tend to have that a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to add a tiny bit of gray to his hair to make it stand out against the skin tone. If I had a better skin tone palette, I'd probably color the skin tone instead of the hair because the hair is supposed to be white. But when you don't have access to those colors, you gotta just make do. The pants were black, so I'm gonna make them a little bit more darker gray. Not completely black because otherwise it would blend into with my line work, and I don't want that because it just won't pop. The other things that are black are the tires and possibly my hat, because I just want to stand out a little bit more too. I want to pop more in the actual piece. Okay, add a little bit of black to that. Let's add a tiny bit of black splotches to dirty up the bags and to create a little bit more of a drop shadow when it comes down to it being behind him. All the open spots, I'm gonna just fill them in with a little bit of grime. And his shirt is going to be the thing that really makes him pop out. And in this case, he had a bright orange shirt. So I chose blue as the general colors around, because the orange is going to really stand out from that. Yellow would probably stand out even more, but yellow, bright yellow, still has like an air of like the sun. It's clean. Like if it's super bright yellow, you can't have bright yellow if you're dirty, right? So that's why I chose not to go with a super bright yellow for this guy, because he was kind of messy. All right. Other thing that I'm gonna color a little bit different is the logo, so it stands out against everything else and doesn't just blend in. And we will add a little bit of pink to my nose. Now we're gonna go in a little bit with a little bit more. Oh my god, this adult site, dude. Hide user. Oh dear god. Love the neck tutorial and Imagine Effects. Oh, you guys saw it! Well, if you guys don't know, I'm gonna toot my own horn for a second. But I had a little tutorial over on the magazine Imagine Effects. They allowed me the chance to do one, and it was really fun. They also highlighted my sketchbook this month. So I got to be in Imagine Effects magazine 2 times, 2 months in a row, and I can't stop smiling because of that. Like, it's just so, like, that's a bucket list item for me, man. Like, I never in my life would have ever thought that little Rod that drew little ducks for fun because he didn't know how to draw anything else. Little Rod that got let go of his first drawing job because they told him he had no potential. Little Rod is now featured in one of the biggest illustration magazines. I don't know what to say, man. I'm incredibly blown away. I'm like flabbergasted completely. Like, I do not know what I did to deserve that. But I'll take it because I'm not proud. And I'm incredibly happy and incredibly joyful. And it's been a great year. Once I started focusing on myself instead of just giving all my energy to other people, that's when things change, man. Like, I realized, like, the potential was always there. I was just not getting fed the energy that I needed to be able to succeed in it. So when you're being always told you're not good enough, that tends to hit you a lot harder, and not just financially. It tends to hit you, like, it makes you think that you're not good enough. And that's something I'm never going to think again. So, love the magazine. Even it costs, oh my god, it costs you $20. Well, hopefully that little tutorial brings at least a little bit of, like, knowledge that can make up for that $20. Oh, I'm sorry. See, that's why I can't just be a millionaire when it comes down to being an artist. I can't. I feel bad when people spend money on my shit. Like, I know that's horrible, and it's probably like the most depreciating thing that anybody that wants to be an artist for a living, has to go through. But honestly, that's just the case. Like, I just don't always feel. Let's see. Let's come up with something for this. Maybe just write down what happens. Today, I saw a man playing in trash. he look so happy? Made me want to go play in trash. All right. And that is essentially all I want to do with my journal. Like at first, I want to learn how to draw and like how to like tell little miniature moments in my life. Okay. And although pink isn't complementary to the blue in your drawing, could pink also be used for the t-shirt, or would that be too much contrast? So, whenever you have colors with t-shirts, it's very. I would normally design whatever color design it is for a specific color t-shirt. I wouldn't make a generic color like design for every color t-shirt because it's gonna look horrible in some of them. So you have to be very specific when it comes down to what colors you want to apply your stuff to. And, you know, that comes along with playing a little bit with it and going out and doing your research. Literally doing research for this would be just going to the mall and seeing what looks cool in the designs that you see, what doesn't look cool. Go to the store, go to Walmart, go to anything that you have around there that has t-shirts that you can look into, and then just figure that out before you start designing it. Suggest for drawing pinup toonie style any step-by-steps. I think I have a bunch of pinup designs in there in my roster of YouTube videos here. Like if you're on YouTube, so just go to my gallery and just start looking for how to draw women videos and pinup videos and poses videos. Those are all the ones that I explained how to draw women. All right, so my TikTok video, people, I am not seeing that many people hit that little heart button. I'm a little disappointed. I only have like 2,000 likes here. What is going on? Jacob King, hey Rod, do you draw feet from the front view? How? When you're drawing feet from the front view, you gotta think about the different elements that are in your foot. Right? When you're looking at it from the front, you're looking at your toes and the bridge of your foot and then the side of your ankles, and then that goes up onto your calves, right? So what you're looking at is all those elements in front of you. Each one of those elements has a little bit of depth and it's able to be broken down into its own individual section. So if you try to generalize everything like a basic shape that's very good for generalizing the foot shape is this shape right here. And I like to think about it like a reverse cone, like a little like half cone. So if you're thinking like an ice cream cone, but you cut it in half, that's your leg. That's your foot. Now, if you want to add the toes or you want to add like things to make a shoe, then you can just wrap things around to create those elements, right? But you have that basic shape to be able to get you there. So the front view with a shoe would just be whatever the shoe is wrapping around the ankle, right? The front of the shoe that has like the tongue and the shoelaces. If this is like a Converse shoe, they normally have like a big white piece of like plastic in the front, and then it would just kind of taper back, and then come back out depending on whatever shoe you put on. How do you get rid of the extra lines? You erase them if you're drawing with pencil, or you just don't draw them if you're drawing with pen. So you think about what you're drawing, you kind of ghost line it, and then you just go in and draw it, only the lines you need. When you're drawing with pen, it takes a little bit more planning. It's a little bit harder. It's not as easy as it is with pencil because you can't erase as easy. Right? So you have to think about it a little bit more. You can't just erase. Oh, I guess you could just cover them with like whiteout if you wanted to, but yeah, personally, I like leaving my little sketch lines in my drawings because it tells me my thought process behind it. How do you get rid of the extra lines? Okay. And then we have Richard Shepard. I prefer physical copies, but I might take that into consideration. What were you talking about? Oh, books are always marked up on Canada. Yeah, books are expensive normally. I like to try to get ebooks anyways because it just makes it easy for me to be able to carry them with me on my phone or my tablet, and I can access them anytime I want. So I like PDFs much more than physical books. Okay, so we're getting to the end of our sketch. So now we get to decide an animal and a drink. So for previous instances, let me see if I have one here. And this one's going to be one of the first giveaways for our subscribers over on Instagram. We drew Bucky. And we put him in a little frame. And this one's going to be our first giveaway for our subscribers over on Instagram. So if you're not a subscriber yet, go sign up. You get a lot of free goodies for it. For today, we get to choose an animal and a drink. A panda and a wine glass. So we've drawn pandas before, so I want to try to avoid drawing a panda. But 2 people have said panda. All right, so panda and a wine glass. We already did an octopus as well. It seems like a lot of people draw that like the same animals. But let's draw a panda in a wine glass. That sounds cute. So our wine glass. What do wine glasses look like? Oh dear God. I'm thinking of a martini glass. What's a wine glass look like? So I think a wine glass is the ones that I like this, and then they have the little stem, and then they have the little glass bottoms. I think that, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what wine. I don't drink much wine. I used to drink a little bit more with my ex, but I was never a wine person. I'm much more of a soda person. I just don't fancy wine. Okay, so we have that, and then we're gonna have our little panda. A little panda's gonna be doing something up here. He's gonna be inside the mug as well. Wine. What type of? You don't drink wine with a straw, so it has to be fancy. How do we make? Oh, of course. Anything gets fancy if you add a monocle to it. So we're gonna have a little panda mouth. A little heart for a nose. We're gonna have our little eyes. Gonna draw a monocle and his little markings. The markings will be in color. We will give him probably a top hat. Let's give him a top hat. To make him extra fancy. You would see this ear. You probably wouldn't see the other ear. But we'll put it in there anyways. Then he might have a cane. And then this other arm might be chilling at the top of the cup. Now his little body is going to be going into the wine glass, into the liquid. So whenever anything goes into liquid, you have to make sure that you add the ripples and you add the depth of the glass. So if you don't add that little tiny like space of white with the reflectiveness of the light, it's just going to look weird. Or it's just going to look flat. Well, pandas have a very distinctive coloration. And his little leggies are going to be pressed against the glass. All right. Now let's add some color. How do you draw girls? Is there a video gallery? No, you guys... I mean, unfortunately, there is not enough manpower within me to be able to do like super specific videos all the time. But there is a How to Draw Girls Part 1, and there's a bunch of videos on posing. If you look at the ones on posing, it's going to be a more accurate representation of how to draw women. More so than like a lot of the other ones. So if you want to just get examples of how to draw women, those are going to be your best bet. Just look at the thumbnails of whatever you're like trying to check out, and then honestly, that's going to be your best indicator. If it's if you see a female on the cover, it most likely means that it is a video with videos and ideas for women. So any video that you see that has any lady in it is most likely going to be a good source of how to draw women. So enjoy. All right, what should we call him? What should we call our little fancy panda? I'm gonna add a little bit of blue to the little more parts that would be black, or the blue color inside of the body. Because just because he's underneath liquid, that doesn't mean that he would not have that coloration. I'm also going to add a little bit more color around his body so it looks like he has more depth. In order to add a little bit more depth to the glass, we are going to give it a little bit of color. Since it is a transparent thing, we're just gonna add a little splash of color around it so that the white stands out a little bit more. I usually use a blue colored pencil for sketches and then outline after so I don't worry about lines. Yeah, that's fine. I like to draw with just pen though, so it's a little bit more difficult to achieve that. But I don't like drawing with pencil, so I am perfectly fine with the trade-off that I got. So this guy, I don't know why, but I just want to call him Rich. Pandu. Oh, okay, Pandu. That sounds pretty cool. All right, Pandu. Pandu the panda. All right, Pandu. Well, thank you, Pandu, for being my little test subject. Thank you guys so much for keeping me company throughout the stream. I know that you guys have a choice of how to spend your mornings and your afternoons, and whenever you guys do decide to spend it with me, I value that and cherish that immensely. If you guys do want to help support, TikTok and Instagram allow subscriptions now. So if you do want to help and you want to, allow me to be able to do this full time, please consider subscribing. You get a lot of free goodies, a lot of discounts over on Instagram and on TikTok. I'm barely starting to understand what is considering, adding things here. But if you join me over on Instagram, you get a lot of free stuff. like definitely worth. But anyways, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Glove is off, another story down, and another page out of the sketchbook down, and let's look forward to tomorrow. If you guys do want to ask certain specific questions and you want answers to specific things, we do have a Discord over for our subscribers as well, where I answer all you guys' questions and you guys provide me fodder so that I don't start these videos with an empty slate. So come join the 20-something people that are in there right now, all artists that looking to get better. It's an awesome way to build a community as well. So thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day. Love you all. And I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. Okay? Take care.